Today I want to talk about the installation and the materials needed to install a mini split air conditioning unit. This is a COSTWAY 9000 BTU 240 volts or 230 volts air conditioning unit that I installed over a period of many mornings over about 4 or 5 days. So you have to consider where you're going to put it, and this is actually in my garage. And you have to consider how are you going to get electrical to it and where are you going to hang the outside unit. So let me show you where I put it. This is where it is. All right, you need to read the manual to make sure that the distances are accurate. So it needs to be about 10 inches away from the wall, and it must have a certain amount of space at the top and as well as the bottom. And I put it at the height. For me, I had a walkway, so I couldn't put it on the ground. So I mounted it on the wall, and you have to use some pretty strong screws. Depends what kind of wall material you have. This is a structural insulated foam, so it's stucco, then foam, then a concrete 6 inches, and then foam, and then drywall on the inside. So I have to go in about 6 inches in order to get it to hang properly. I'm in a hurricane zone in Central Florida, so I wanted to secure it really tight. All right, so this is what the installation looked like. It works very well. And you also need to get, let me show you the materials list. You have to get this bracket, which I'll put all of the links, almost all the links I provide will be affiliate links for Amazon. This was highly rated. It was about $40. I had to buy a disconnect box, and I had to buy the piping, 3/4 inch piping, the elbow, as well as a straight piece that goes all the way up. I also had to buy a whip, which goes this way. You also need zip ties to tie the material onto the tubing. You also need the trunking, which is over here. This is the leftovers, which I didn't need. That is what made this all the way out to the end. You also have to buy, for me, I had to get a hammer drill, which I got from Harbor Freight. You of course need an extension cord. You need a Pittsburgh gauge set, which is this here. All right, to vacuum, I don't have to vacuum here, but you need a vacuum pump as well, which I also got from Harbor Freight. So this was from Harbor Freight, that was from Harbor Freight, and the vacuum pump was from Harbor Freight. If you're not in a rush, you could probably get a coupon to get a discount on it. Like I said, you also need the zip ties. You need a drill. I got it from Amazon. It's 3 inches wide, and it cuts through the wall. You could use this for many applications. I needed this for concrete. It took about half an hour to drill. But depends what you have. You may not need something that's as heavy duty as this. For me, because it's 240 volts, I got 12-2 wire. So there's 2 legs of power as well as the ground wire. I also got this drainage line, which is UV insulated, UV protected. So the unit I got, the air conditioning unit, the COSTWAY only came with 5 foot of drain line, and I needed more than that. So this is like 25 feet, I think it is, which I got from Home Depot. You could also get it on Amazon. I'll put a link for this, which is similar, but the Home Depot one was UV protected. You'll also need some clamps in case you want to connect the wire, hold the wire against the wall. You need to connect it every 6 feet. You also need some of these to connect the whip or the EMT conduit to the disconnect box. Like I said, you need a disconnect box. You're going to need a tester to verify the voltage is correct before you energize it. You need a pipe cutter. This one is from Home Depot to cut the EMT tubing. You'll also need Nylog glue. This one is used to, you apply it onto the connectors before you complete it, before you tighten it up. You'll also need a torque wrench, which is over here. right? And you need to follow the torque specs in the manual. You'll also need some Allen keys to let the gas out. You need a stud finder to mount that onto the wall. You'll also need some clips. Well, this one you need some breakers. Let me show you. You may need to get an electrician involved if you're not comfortable doing this. This is 15 amps and 15 amps single poles, and I had to get a bridge between it to accommodate it. This is a Siemens breaker, and they don't sell 15 amp breakers, dual pole. So I had to bridge two separate 15 amp breakers, single pole to make double pole. Is there anything else I've left out? I think that covers most of what you need. So depending on your system, if you have a 120 volt system, you're only going to need one of those breakers. But I needed two because I wanted to balance my loads between both legs. So I think that covers everything. Like I said, you need a vacuum pump as well, so which isn't shown here. Oh yes, you also need this to torque your fittings. So I purchased this. I wasn't sure what size I needed, so I just purchased a whole pack. Right, this is a Duratec crowfoot wrench. All right, that allows you to connect, to put onto this, and then you can torque it. All right, you're going to need another spanner, which isn't shown here, to hold one side of the connector and torque with the other connector to tighten it up. All right, you've got to be careful not to bend your copper lines. And I think that covers it. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching. If this helps you, please like and consider subscribing. I have many other DIY content. Bye.